Hello and welcome to another episode of Discussions with Dr. Morton. I'm your host, Dr. Kwame Morton, Superintendent of Cherry Hill Public Schools, and I'm so proud and honored today to be joined by a very special guest, Ms. Caitlin Mallory, our district's Director of Special Education. Welcome, Ms. Mallory.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Excellent. All right. So today we want to take a deep dive into the topic of special education. I know there are many questions about procedures and how things derive in the world of special education, and we're hoping that today you can provide our viewers with some tangible information and facts.
I will try to do so.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So I guess first and foremost, it's probably best that we start at the very beginning. So what is an IEP or an individualized education program? And can you walk us through the process of how a student might qualify for an IEP?
Under the law, anyone can make a referral to the child study team. If a parent can write a letter, per our policy, a letter would come directly to me. We also have referrals that may come through what used to be INRS, now MTSS. But essentially, once a child is determined to have a suspected disability, there are 14 categories in code.
Right.
So we consider it, we look at it as a three-pronged approach to eligibility. So the student would have to, number one, meet the criteria determined by New Jersey State Code for one of the 14 categories of disabilities. Another requirement for eligibility would be that they need special education services specifically. So
right.
Whether it be placement with a special education teacher or a special education teacher pushing in, they need the actual special education services. And the third prong that we talk about is what is the educational impact on the student?
Got
so
it.
We have students with disabilities that either have a 504 plan or they may be
right.
in general education. Doesn't mean that they don't have a diagnosis or a disability. It's just that they would need it. It has to have an impact on their learning.
Beautiful. Can you just tell our viewers the difference between a 504 plan and an IEP itself? Because there's some difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a common question that we get asked. So under the law, protections are the same. So
right.
We're required by law to implement a 504 plan in the same way we are to implement an IEP. However, the biggest difference is a 504 plan does not offer services for students. A 504 plan would offer accommodations. So for example, extra time.
Right.
A student may require extra time. And then the IEP would also modify the curriculum. So
right.
with IEPs, we often we do add modifications to the curriculum. So we may remove questions on a test, for example. But if it's just simply accommodations, a student can have a 504 plan if they don't need services.
Right.
IEPs also go in depth and have goals for students. So
right.
those students
right.
aren't expected to perform in the same way in the classroom.
Got it. And 504 is like a health-related concern.
It can be, yeah. We also see students that have a diagnosis of ADHD that don't necessarily
right.
need special education
right.
programs, but they do need accommodations. So it might be extra time, it might be anything that would not necessarily modify the curriculum
right.
Or require a special education teacher.
Let's just go back to the IEP itself and IEP process. So child study team.
Yep.
So you have a child study team that actually is integral in the process of making a determination and also working with students.
Absolutely.
Can you just describe what is a child study team? Who are the members of that team? What do they do exactly?
Sure. So one of the reasons I love special education, specifically in the state of New Jersey, is we have a model like no other state in the country. The child study team is made up of a school psychologist, which has a specific training in implementing school assessments for eligibility of special education students.
Right.
We have a school social worker, and then we also have a learning disabilities teacher consultant. So the three of them are the primary team. Now, sometimes if we suspect a communication issue, the speech therapist becomes a part of the team.
Gotcha.
There are occasions where a behaviorist is a part of the team, but the three people that I just mentioned are the primary core members of the child study team,
right.
and ultimately the decision makers.
Right.
What'll happen is, as the director, people think I have autonomy
right.
over
Absolutely.
decisions,
right.
And I truly don't. Anybody who is going to implement the law or recommend a program or any type of modification, it would have to come from the child study team. And then of course parents are members of the child study team as well.
So if there's a determination that's made made and that child study team has made that determination. What happens if a parent disagrees with that determination? What is that process?
Sure. So the state has shifted the process slightly over the past couple of years, but essentially there's a mediation option that parents can select, which would allow us to meet with the family and have a mediator who is not affiliated with the court system directly. So the hope is that the mediator, who's an impartial party, can have a confidential discussion with the district and the family to kind of come to a resolution or an agreement prior to going before a judge.
This is not intended to be like a difficult, angry, drawn-out process.
But we recognize that it does take a lot for some families to file for mediation. It can be very intimidating. So I've had conversations, my supervisors, case managers have had conversations with families to kind of explain that this is the next step in the process if you disagree with the determination that was made by the team.
Can we just talk about sort of how you work with families and work within the district to ensure that parents are informed about what's happening in special education? And
Sure, yeah, so we've had to get creative. We have approximately 2,200 students with IEPs in the district. So certainly we understand that communication is very important. I have my 3 supervisors. We also have a special education teacher coach. We have 2 coaches, and we communicate regularly with our case managers. We also communicate directly with parents as needed. We have a chain of communication that's posted on our website, so parents kind of know when and how to contact us. And this can be confusing because they know the principal at the building level. They certainly know who you are. They may know who I am. They know the supervisors, but they don't always know who to go to. So we try to communicate with stakeholders and really emphasize the same process so that we can answer questions effectively and efficiently. I'm a teacher by trade and I'm a parent, so I always try to keep that in mind when I talk to parents. And I expect the same of the people that are on my team, that, you know, this is someone's child. While we may hold, you know, anywhere from 60 to 100 meetings a year, any given case manager, that is the most important meeting to that family. So we try to really instill that in our case managers. We're very fortunate. We have a lot of case managers that are really empathetic, and they do the job because they want to help kids. You have to want to help kids. And
that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yes.
I want to flash back to last year. I recall when we were doing goal setting, and I recall conversing with you about what you thought we needed to focus on district-wide for our goals around special education. You focused on transitions and the transitions from one level to the next level for our students with special education services. Can you just speak to that a little bit about this?
Yeah, so we recognize the size of our district is quite large compared to some other districts. So we recognize the need to communicate directly with building principals, case managers, and put processes in place to ensure that students are supported when they transition. While it's not ideal to have a student go to a different school in the middle of the year, they may need services that are offered at that specific school, or that might not be offered a program at their current school. So what we've implemented is a pretty consistent process where case managers offer every family that's transitioning an opportunity to go tour the program. So once the recommendation is made at the IEP meeting, they're offered that opportunity, and either the new case manager or the current case manager, or a lot of times both, will offer the family a tour. The other thing we do is myself and the supervisors meet regularly with the principals at each level to kind of expand on different things that they've already put into place to really make the transition process special for our students with IEPs, because they have different needs. It's overwhelming for any elementary student to transfer to middle or middle to high school. I remember it well. It's overwhelming. So imagine layering it with a student with a disability, whether they have like a processing issue or they just get overwhelmed by, you know, crowds of people. We give them the opportunity to go into the building separately or by themselves, or whatever's needed we offer. So we've worked with a lot of families to do that.
It also can be a bit overwhelming for parents as well as they attempt to navigate the process. What advice would you give to parents who are attempting to navigate the process, who may be new to special education or even just new to different levels or programs?
So I think the piece is just to reassure them that we're here to help. Your child is assigned a case manager manager, which again is very specific to the state of New Jersey. So other states like Pennsylvania, teachers serve as the case managers. Well, anyone who was a teacher or knows a teacher knows that they have a lot going on already.
Right.
So New Jersey is a state that designates a person to be your child's case manager when they have an IEP. And similarly with the 504, it's your child's counselor. So my recommendation is always be proactive and reach out and ask questions.
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as a silly question. And if they don't know the answer, the expectation is they will find out and get back to the parent.
Right.
We're very big on ensuring communication happens, and just to communicate, have that ongoing dialogue, call, email the case manager.
Right.
There's often a misconception that you have to hold a meeting to have a discussion about your child.
Right.
And that's not the case. You can call your case manager, you can meet with the case manager.
Absolutely. Ms. Mallory, you have a great vision. You've done a lot of great things here since you've been in district. What are you most proud of? Like, what stands out in your mind as something that was successful, or you're moving in a successful direction and you're happy about?
Just the building of relationships and the expectation that special education isn't litigious. For some reason there's misconceptions about the district, but being that communicative voice with parents, and my supervisors ensuring that they're communicating with parents, and the case managers. So I'd like to think that's one of the things that I've brought to the district, and my position coming back to the district has been huge, because I'm a whole additional person now that can implement these processes and ensure that communication is happening and making it less scary. It's an ongoing process. We have students that are newly classified, students who are declassified, so we try to continue to have that morale, if you will, in our programs.
And I have an opportunity, I have a bird's eye view. I have a chance to watch you work with many different people, including the district CPAG and GISEPTA and other groups as well. So kudos to you for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I'm sure to continue this part and parcel of who you are.
Ongoing communication, yes. We're never, we say this all the time, we're not always going to agree, but how do we get to a place of understanding, because we're not two separate sides. We want the same thing for the students. We try to get everybody to understand that, because it's true. We do what we do because we want to help kids.
Fantastic. Those are all the questions I have for today. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share.
No, I really appreciate the time, and again, I would just implore people who don't understand or have questions to reach out. We have a question option on our website. You don't have to necessarily say who you are, but you can submit a question, and within 24 to 48 hours, we'll get back to you with an answer, and then we'll post it on the website. So we want to try to make different ways for parents to feel comfortable to have that communication, because it can be overwhelming.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Mallory. This was a very fun and great discussion. I'd like to thank you all for viewing and joining us today, and stay tuned for more wonderful discussions with Dr. Morton. Thank you.